it was great fun. I think it's like, come on. It's just movies. Let's not take ourselves too seriously here. Yeah.
You know, that's such an interesting and accurate way to put it, because he did strike me as a guy that had fun doing what he did. He was working on something for Mike Newell at the time, a Texas Ranger project as a script doctor. And even in that, he was like lighting up a cigar and just having a good time with it. I remember once I worked days for producer Steve Ruther, who's no longer with us at Bel Air Production in Building 90. And the receptionist there really wanted to meet Milius, huge Milius fan. Goes, you got to take me over there to meet him. I know you're working over there at nights. I got to meet him. So I said, okay, we'll walk over there on our lunch break. We'll see if he's in. And I knocked on his door. And you know how you could tell Milius, his door in Building 81 is it had the sticker property of the Hells Angels on it. So I knocked on the door, and like they're not answering. And then suddenly the door cracks, and it's Leonard, John's assistant. He looks at me. He's like, oh, Ethan. All right, shh. And he like opens the door and quickly rushes me and this assistant in and closes the door behind him. And I'm like, I can detect like a level of secrecy. Well, they're putting together a sniper's rifle on his desk. And like that they ordered through FedEx in the days when you could just order gun parts and they could show up at the studio and nobody checked that kind of thing, you know? So they're putting together a sniper's rifle, and this guy, turns white. He is like so nervous, and he's standing there like, what do I say? What do I do? These guys are installing armaments, you know, and Milius detects it, right? And I just go, hey, John, this is he totally detects it.
Point. I mean, yeah, he loved to project.
Oh, for sure. And he's so intuitive. He knows when he's like a running back. He knows when the opening is there for the touchdown. So he senses it. I go, hey, John, this guy's a big fan. He wanted to meet you. And Milius like doesn't even like he's like, oh, well, nice to meet you. And he's like cranking a scope on, and they're like playing it up. And you know, and he's like, Leonard, what kind of rounds do we have for this thing? Do we have any of those armor piercing things that you know, that those SOG guys left us, you know, from their tour in Nam? You know, he's playing it up. And this guy's literally sweating. Like he feels like it's almost like a hostage scene. And then he throws the gun to his assistant Leonard and he goes, hey, go ahead and see how the scope works on this. And Leonard throws open the window and he's pointing the gun and looking through the scope on Olive Avenue, you know, which is where Building 81 looks out to all. And I get it. Like I'm like just like, you guys stop clowning this. You know, I know what you guys are doing. I don't have the authority to say knock it off, but I'm sitting here going,
no, but John, you got to play it out to the end, because it's so John is so entertaining.
And then of course I go, you know, he's like, all right, well, it was nice to meet you, Ethan. Come on back. I'll see you at 4:00. And go. And he tells me, he goes, and give this kid the warning I expect all your friends to know. And I said, yeah, I got it, John. And so I'm walking him out, and so this guy goes, well, that was an experience. What did he mean when he said warning? He said, well, listen, if you say anything about what you saw in there, he'll kill you. And of course, we're just playing with it, but it was like one of those things. Like he does not know how to interpret it. You know, he's just like, it's just, and of course, the whole thing is a put on, right? But it's like one of those things where there's just enough reality to it to let fear and apprehension seep in.
You have to have just a tiny bit of truth in it, and it expands. And I miss it. I miss it so much.
I do miss it because, and look, the world is more politically correct, and in some ways rightfully so. But there are things that are like that were kind of like had like a sense of like lawless humor that I miss it too. I'm not sure if it's inappropriate to miss it, if I should miss it, but I kind of miss those kind of things of like, oh, we're going to get this guy. It's kind of like the stuntman's like association humor. Like stuntmen have like a certain language.
Yeah.
You know, and you kind of miss that when you're not around it, you know.
Your road to redemption is paved with tombstones. No quarter, kill all masters. Go to noquarterkillallmasters.com. Rated R.